Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. It's time to look at the global stories that have made it to the front pages of our national dailies. And joining us this morning is Kehinde Nwandu, is Executive Editor, CKN News. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Before I announce that on social media, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you. All right, so this morning we'll begin with the Nigerian Tribune, and it says 13 million more Nigerians at risk of poverty this year, according to a report. So a lot of Nigerians are below the poverty line. We only have a few, maybe the 1% of the 1% that's above. I don't know where I fall in, to be honest, right now. I'm not sure I'm a middle-class person. Maybe I was. But as of right now, we're all moving down the poverty line. But what do you think of this story where there's a report that this year, so even whatever the numbers were before, this year, 13 million people are going to join this poverty line?
They are going to join or they have already joined. What does it take to join?
The report says they are going to.
They don't join. Which of them they are going to join? What does it take to join?
There's a membership form. There's a membership form that you fill.
You are talking of the middle class. That's not like middle class any longer in Nigeria. It's either you belong to the upper class or you belong to the lower class. You know, it was in those days when most of us, the brilliant ones, when we graduated from university, you have to know that the most brilliant ones like us came out with 2-2 draw. 2-2 goalless draw. So, and we're always in the majority. But coming back to this, the fact is that, of course, we don't need any report to tell us that most Nigerians are going into multidimensional poverty as it's where the handwriting is on the wall. Despite what the government is telling us and despite what the managers of our economy are telling us, that things are getting better or it's getting rosy, the pocket is not showing. You just have to ask yourself, what is the average cost of food items and basic necessities of life? That is where those are the indices. How much was right? Bag of price as of May 29, 2023, and now how much is dollar? How much is beef? How much is gari? How much is onions? How much is tomatoes? Those are the basic necessities. Those are the basic needs. You know, we have gone beyond the normal. As you know, before we say, oh, basic necessities of life is food, is clothing, is housing. No, the basic necessity of life now is food. All the others, Nigerians are forgetting all the other aspects about housing. About, you know, when we're going up, this cash pay that's house for all by 2020, education for all by 2020, health for all. Like nobody will use those slogans again. So it's so terrible. It's very disheartening. And that's what I always said, that Nigeria continues to be a giant elephant with clay feet. It is only certain level of people, especially those within the political class, that are just enjoying the benefits of our so-called democracy. Every other Nigerians are just going down the drain and going down in terms of poverty indices. And that is the problem. Most Nigerians cannot afford to eat. Most Nigerians go to bed hungry. Most Nigerians go to bed not knowing where to get their next living, how they're going to eat on a daily basis. And you ask yourself, even the so-called, look at even the so-called, I use the word so-called, with some sense of responsibility. The minimum wage, so-called minimum wage. Most of the states that people agree have agreed to pay are not paid. And you don't even know when they will. And you ask yourself, 70,000 naira per month. 70,000 naira, if we're looking at a dollar is about 1,600 to naira to a dollar. $70 is probably less than $40. $40. That's what an average Nigerian is earning. $40 is less than what most people in other parts of the world are earning in a day. Yeah. In fact, it's not even a day, because in the United States, the minimum wage, at least for the minimum wage, is about $15 per hour. You know that theirs is per hour. And you work 8 hours. You work 8 hours. So if you work 8 hours in a day at $15 per hour, do the math and see what you get. You get close to probably, I don't know, probably over $100.
Yeah.
That is what they are earning in a day. But that is what an average Nigerian is supposed to earn in a month. And some people are still not paying. So why would we find ourselves where we are? So that's why we continue to ask the government to stop its thinking cap and look at and take out of the cost to be able to bring down this level of poverty to the barest minimum. And you know the effect. The spike effect is that part of the problem we have in terms of security is being caused to a large extent now to poverty. I'm not saying that anybody that wants to be a thief or want to be a robber or whatever wants to do, but to a large extent, if most Nigerians can be able to afford the basic necessities, I still believe that most of those that are getting engaged in all sorts of crime now, that will be reduced to the minimum.
Yeah. So what are some interventions that you think should be done? For instance, the World Bank, when they were talking about inflation control, advising the CBN, they also mentioned some cash transfers. And I remember last year, the government tried to do cash transfers of about 75,000 naira to some households, even though I did not get any money. But yes, we also talked about, the import duty for food items. That did not take flight. We did not even see the light of day. So what are some interventions that you think the government needs to be looking at now? Because it's quite alarming that 13 million people are going to join the poverty line. At this point, when we're supposed to be thinking of how to make our nation better, how we're supposed to improve the standard of living, but instead, it feels like every single day, not even month or years now, every single day, things are deteriorating and we're just getting worse. So we're not even a developing nation anymore. We're just, I don't know what to call it. What are the interventions that we need to be looking at right now?
First and foremost, the first part of the question, cash transfer is a total scam. It has never worked and it will never work because it's shrouded in all manner of corruption, as it were. All the cash transfer that Buhari did between 2015 and 2020 reduced the effect on Nigeria. You need to see how some people cornered it, and till today, we even saw a minister was sacked during this current administration. The proof of that, proving that minister, the report has not been released today, and we swept it under the carpet as if nothing happened. So I totally, whether the World Bank or whichever bank recommended the issue of cash transfer, it is not transparent in Nigeria. We don't have data to be able to determine. They will tell you, oh, about between 15 million and the one we are saying now, they say they are going to transfer 75,000 naira to how many, 11 million or how many millions of Nigeria. Tell me one single Nigeria. Are there not poor people in your village? Is everybody in your village? Are they rich? Have you seen one single person from
They did not fill the form.
That is what which form? Which are you here for? Forget this thing. Now let's to the second part of your question. The basic way forward for us is to invest so much in the area of agriculture so that we have enough food for our people. But even investing in agriculture in itself is becoming a problem because of insecurity. Most of the people that are supposed to go to the farm can't go to their farm because they will either be kidnapped or they'll be killed. So people are afraid to go. So it is tied to so many things. And when you talk of insecurity, you're talking of security. In the past 8 to 10 years, the highest volume of our budget has been given to the military. Yes, for security.
Security purposes.
A higher, the one that was supposed to spend on food, was supposed to be spending on health, was supposed to spend on road infrastructure, power, education, name it. It goes to for security, and at the end of the day, what comes out of it. So for me, the way forward is for us to invest so much in agriculture. Let us even feed ourselves. How come that Nigeria cannot feed itself? It's it's unbelievable. With the areas of land we have here, they are very, very fertile. That you don't need any fertilizer. There are certain, in my brother's place in Cross River, most of the lands are so fertile that you don't need any fertilizer to put in that soil, including my own place, even in Delta State, where you come from, my sister. Nigeria is so blessed. But the problem is that we don't have the government. We don't have the people that have way with that. That was a point we're almost getting it right. During the Goodluck Jonathan days, we saw what additional did now. As Minister of Agriculture, have we forgotten?
Yes, he
That we
did
are almost
really well.
in rice production. Have we forgotten? Why is it that we cannot repeat that now?
He had a very good template, and as soon as he left, everybody just threw it away because it was too open. It was too transparent, so they didn't like it and they jettisoned it. He might have had his own flaws, but every farmer felt the impact of government, and it was seamless. But he left, and there was no continuity, even though we are told that government is a continuum.
Yeah, that's the problem with government, is the lack of continuity. When someone comes and starts something, the moment another person comes...
The lack of continuity of good policies, that's the thing. Because if it is a bad one that will benefit some people, they will continue and say, okay, past governments did this and all that. They will continue. And I don't know how let's move to another thing. Still on the Tribune, there's a statement here, or there's a headline here that, well, somehow I'm happy with, but somehow I'm not happy with. How only we other monarchs appeased Afe Babalola over Farotimi. Afe narrates how Obasanjo Kuka intervened. I don't know what you feel about this, that he's going to withdraw the case of defamation against Farotimi. Does it make you happy or sad?
Well, I don't know the aspect of it that you are sad about, and the one you're happy about. Then since you asked, in law, I was taught that the modern way of going about dispute is what we call ADR. ADR is called
Alternative Dispute Resolution, yes.
Resolution mechanism, yes. As a law student, as a law graduate, I was taught that instead of, it's not every case that you take to the court. So which is why there have now been alternative for you as an individual to be able to resolve issues without necessarily going through the rigors of the court, because that's for so many reasons. The cost, the time frame, and the bad blood that it brings. So most often than not, when you take certain cases to the court, first of all, the judge will just ask you, can the both party, can you look at alternative way of resolving this issue without going through full trial? And if the two counsels agree to that, then the judge will step it down and ask you to go and get it resolved. But if at the end of it you're not able to resolve it, then you can come back to the court. Then the court will continue. So ADR has become a very, very vital role in our conflict resolution. So what we have here is what I call the ADR, so Alternative Dispute Resolution Mechanism, which the two parties are looking to. And at the end of it, of course, in court, somebody will lose, somebody will win. And if we take that, the High Court, we had the current case, anyone loses, they move to the appeal court, then on to the final appellate court, which is the Supreme Court. But I want to believe that lessons are learned, in as much as I totally agree with what our traditional rulers have done, and the magnanimity of Chief Afe Babalola, who is overnight.
That's my problem. The magnanimity of Afe Babalola is my problem. You see, I'm happy that maybe the suit was unnecessary and it would have dragged and all that, and maybe impoverished Farotimi and all. So I'm happy that the resolution has been done. But I would have wanted a situation where we follow this case through, because if Farotimi wrote that book, it means he has more evidence that could have opened a can of worms that maybe would have been the first step to reforming the judiciary. Now he's been bottled up. We can't even buy the book. We can't even read what he has. We can't even hear what he has. So we would never know the kind of things that he was about to unearth. So while I'm happy that the case is settled, I'm not happy that we didn't get to hear all the things that he was gearing up to say. So it's now that he has been gagged, and Nigerians may never know what he wanted to tell us. So that's why I'm not happy about it. I would have loved to see that case go through the courts, and we hear all the things that he had, and that kind of worms to be opened. Maybe it could have helped our judiciary, but now we will never know.
Yeah, I agree with you. First of all, let's start with the book. With this withdrawal, you can find the book, the embargo placed on the book will be lifted, so you can find the book anywhere to buy. So don't worry, in the next few weeks you get to buy that book.
All
the
right.
second one is that, for goodness, yes. You want me to drop on that? You want us to put on another?
Yeah, I just wanted to look at the Daily Trust quickly. So on the Daily Trust, it leads with article, Nigeria on verge of losing democracy. The writers here says, government offering opposition 50 million naira. Parties must unite to save democracy. That's according to El Rufai. Power not given but fought for, according to Amechi. Shetima, democracy despite flaws is best. So of course, the former vice president of Nigeria, Atiku Abubakar, has said that our hard-fought democracy, we're about losing it if we continue on this trajectory. What is your take? Because we're hearing that the government is, some party leaders of opposition, the APC government allegedly, is offering them 50 million naira. So are we really in a democracy, especially if we're seeing things fall apart in a nation as such as this, whereby we gained independence about 65 years ago?
Well, if the opposition parties are falling apart, whose fault is it? Those in the opposition, are they playing the role of opposition leaders? We saw how this APC plays opposition pre-2015. The current ones, why are they playing it? Even with each of the political parties, opposition parties is standing on its own. Is it the Labour Party that is going through in all sorts of controversies, that they cannot put their house together, from one court to the other? So who is to blame? You talk of PDP, that's supposed to be the biggest opposition party. See where they have left themselves. They are in total disarray. That the center can, just as Achebe said in the book, things are falling apart, and the center can no longer hold. So I hold them, the opposition, the leaders in those opposition parties, are the problem. The problem is not to take peace. If you put your house together, there is no way any party can, whether in power or not power, can get penetrated. Because as they say, the Yorubas have this saying that except the wall gets open, there is no way the lizard can get into it. And I think it's the same idiom in most part of it. So let the opposition parties put their house together. What they are playing is they are playing more of divisive role within themselves than being opposition parties. So if they're able to put their house together, they can put the essence of opposition is to be able to put the government in power on their own. We see how other parties play opposition in United Kingdom and even in the United States, where we brought this democracy. Our own opposition leaders, their selfish interest, there is more of their own personal selfish interest than the interest of the people they are serving. So that is what I have told. Let them article or whoever is trying to ventilate. Yeah, I know there was a program in Abuja yesterday where most of the opposition parties attended. That conference was addressed by the past vice president of Ghana, who just lost the election as the presidential candidate of the party. He was the lead speaker there. But at the end of it, what I'm trying to say in essence, let those in charge of those leaders in this in the opposition parties play their role. Let them put their house together, act as a single person, and continue looking for who to blame for their problem. It's PDP. It's now between Wike, governor of Bauchi State, and Atiku Abubakar. You go to Labour Party. It's between Peter Obi, the governor of Abia State, and what was that? What's the chairman? We don't even know who is the chairman of the Labour Party. Habure and Nemadi, the woman Neman. And you're asking yourself, what is really going on? What is really going on? Why is it that these people cannot be able to sit down and put their hands together and be able to start preparing for 2027? 2027 is just how many years? It's just 2 years from now.
Yeah.
And we're going to have another election. And these guys are just not getting their house together and looking for who to blame.
Well, there's a statement from Shetima on The Guardian. He says, Shetima blames democratic failure in Africa on complex pressures. So, what's your take on this? Complex pressures.
From who? Complex pressure from who now? That's what I'm asking. He should supposed to have told us who the complex pressure. Everybody, let me tell you, there is no government in power that want to sustain itself. Anybody that gets, we saw all the difference between being in opposition and being in power. When you're in opposition, it is always easy for you to see all the problems
All the flaws,
and give all the solutions. Once you are given the power to implement, becomes a problem. You saw the promises the APC made pre to 2023 election. Now they've been given power. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, they say he was going to replicate what he did in Lagos in Abuja. Oga don't reach Abuja now because it's Abuja, Lagos and Abuja not the same. So those are the issues for me. It is just easy for anybody to make any promises, but when they get to the point where they can be able to deliver, to see, because this fire don't end.
All right, this is where we have to wrap it up. That's all we can take on Off the Press this morning. Chris, we want to say thank you for coming. It's always a pleasure having you and reviewing the papers with you. Thank you so much for your time.
You go better.
Amen.
That's all I can say.
Amen to that. All right, so I'm speaking with Chris Kehinde Nwandu. He's the executive editor, CKN News, and this is how much we can take on Off the Press. We'll go on a short break. When we return, we're looking at our first hot topic, and that talks about Tinubu's frequent abroad trips spark debate over costs and benefits. Please stay with us.